In this video, we're going to walk through Activity 6.6, deploying the Windows Admin Center. Now, this activity is actually quite long, and we start off with Windows Admin Center and then start integrating this into Azure. We're going to skip the part that goes into Azure and only focus on deploying an Admin Center and then walking through adding in one of the extensions so we can see how to do that, as well as to then start managing Active Directory. So in order to do this, we have two different machines up and running. We have server SA1, which is what we're going to be installing, as well as server DC1. Now, SA1 requires DC1, not just for the Active Directory plugin that we're going to be installing, but also because DC1 acts as DNS and will allow SA1 access to the internet. So let's get started. In server SA1, I'm going to open up a web browser and I'm going to browse to a specific URL. However, the assignment does actually mention that if this one specific URL does not work, then to simply Google search or do a web browser search for the terms Windows Admin Center download. Let's walk through our setup here first. Go away, and we will go to www.microsoft.com/enus-eval-center/windows-admin-center, and then download now. Once that downloads, it should end up into our downloads folder on our computer. It's coming in right now. There we are. And I'll go ahead and double click that to start the install. And going to go ahead and accept these terms and pretty much just keep clicking next, next, next on everything until we get to the install, and then wait for the install process to finish. All right, and through the power of video editing, I have paused the video for just a moment there, and we can see that this says, yes, we are now ready to connect. I'll open this browser on a PC, and I can actually click this right here, and it will open up in a web browser, or I could manually type it in to the web browser myself. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And while that's happening, I'm going to come back to the Admin Center and click Finish. Now, at this point, I'm going to start noticing my web page does not appear to have opened properly. And this is where standard internet troubleshooting comes along. And to say, you know what, if something's not working, there's a couple of options. First off, let's try to refresh. And that doesn't seem to be doing it. Let's try a control refresh. So I'm going to hold down Control on my keyboard and press the refresh key. Still nothing. The next option, well, let's close the web browser and open it back up again. So I'm going to close Edge, open it back up again, and then the address was HTTPS right there, server SA1. Still not working. Let's try that one more time. That should have worked. Let's wait for it to finish loading up before I go somewhere else. All right, it is not appearing to work well. Additional internet troubleshooting, the next step would be maybe to reboot the computer to see if that makes a difference, or install a new web browser. So I'm going to go to google.com/Chrome, and I will install Chrome, and then I'll access the web page when that's done. So I'll go ahead and pause the video. I will download and install Chrome, and then I'll come back when we're finished. All right, and I have successfully installed Chrome. So here was the install page. I just installed it and then opened and browsed to Server SA1. And so this is our Windows Admin Center. This is a similar idea to Server Manager, except it runs through a web browser, which means it's much easier to use. If I'm, say, on a desktop or a remote computer, I can now manage my servers via a web browser, as opposed to having had Server Manager set up and configured. Right now we can see we have one server, Server SA. I want to add another one. It's updating some extensions. We'll see if that causes me problems or not. I'm going to go ahead and try to get started while those updates are still going. So here I'm going to click add, and then I'm going to add Server DC1. Oh, there we go. That's going to reload it. And now add will work without problems. Okay, add. And I want to add a server. And the server I want to add is Server DC1. And then scroll down. Any moment now. There we go. It found the server and add. And there is Server DC1 now added to my environment. When I click on DC1, it's going to show me the Admin Center page, and I can see all the various tools I have available to me. For instance, I could look at the users and groups, local users and groups right there. Now, this is a domain controller, so the local users and groups aren't going to show up. But I could look at the networks to see what the network configurations are. I can open up a PowerShell prompt on the remote machine. I could check the event logs to see what's been happening on DC1 as well. Additionally, click kicking off backup, file sync, monitoring, setting up certificates, devices, and so on. Come back to overview, and we'll see something that looks similar to our normal Server Manager page. So lots of wonderful features here. One of the things that we will notice that is missing, yes, this is DC1. However, we do not have any Active Directory modules available to us. So we want to add those Active Directory module so Server Manager to manage our Active Directory environment. In order to do that, in Admin Center, we want to come up here in the upper right and click Settings. And then on the left-hand side, under Gateway, Extensions. We will see a large list of available extensions, and I'm going to choose just Active Directory. Very briefly, if we scroll through here, we will see that there are dozens of different extensions available for us to install. I'm going to install Active Directory, so I have it highlighted right now, and then click Install. And that will go ahead and install Active Directory into Windows Admin Center, which we will then be able to use with Server DC1. Okay, the install is finished. I'm going to click up here, Windows Admin Center, to go back. And then Server DC1, since that is my domain controller. And I will see that I now have a new icon on the left-hand side for Active Directory. When I click on Active Directory, I will see what appears to be very similar to Active Directory users and computers. I'm sorry, browse. And then we'll see Active Directory users, computers. So here I can see all the computer objects, DM1, DM2. I can see the domain controllers. I can see the users. And then I can also create a user group or OU. And I'll create a test user 1. And Password 01. No, don't save. And that is using Windows Admin Center in our environment.